here? Would you lie with me and just forget the world?
Brokerage Network. How is everybody doing today? So glad you are here for our business meeting. We have such a good meeting planned for you today. Very excited. So we have an amazing panel. We got Dan Dennis, Ramona Jones, and we've got Robin Adelsman and some of the top listing agents in our area really sharing some of their absolute horror stories, best stories, and then best practices for how to get your offer accepted in a multiple offer situation. So excited about that. Then we also have some wonderful vendors we want to share with you today with ZingFix. You're going to want to hear these guys. This is amazing, amazing value that they can add for your sellers. And of course, always my favorite, John Hanson here to speak all about our forms and all the legal stuff. So great fun there. Okay, so I have a question for you. I don't know about you, but spring is in the air, and I'm starting to be very hopeful about all the things in our world coming up. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Do me a favor, put it in the chat. Are you feeling the same way? I mean, we've got the vaccine coming. That's great. It's markets is going to start, building a lot right now. So I think we've got some fun there. I think we've got some real excitement that can come down the pike. How are you feeling? Do me a favor, put it in the chat. Tell me how you are feeling. Okay, we're not feeling that way. I got it. Maybe it's just me. Hey, okay, thank you, Holly. I love the thumbs up. I so appreciate that. I see, Holly, you're always going to be there. I love it. Melissa, thank you so much for that as well. I like that. You know what? There is always good to be seen. What you focus on expands. And if we can choose our attitude, and by the way, Pam is going to share with us a wonderful video a little bit later on that is about the late, great Kobe Bryant. And so that's going to be another thing we'll get to listen to. Hey, thanks, Floor. So happy about that. Tatiana, thank you. Yes, happy the sun is coming. Susan, thank you so much. Allison, feeling happy. Love it, love it, love it. Hey, guys, we can choose our attitude and we can have a great time here. Okay. All righty then. So we're going to start off with our wonderful Mick and Kevin. Hey, Mick and Kevin, why don't you come on in here, say hi to everybody, take yourselves off mute, and tell us all about your program.
Well, this is Mick Purdy here. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can't.
Okay, and there's the video starting. So I'll just tell you who we are. My name is Mick Purdy. I'm a Keller Williams real estate agent also, and I'm with ZingFix. I'm one of the owners and founders. Kevin Pizaski is here. He's the other main guy running the operation with us. Why did we start ZingFix and what are we? Well, primarily we're a concierge service helping agents and sellers get their homes ready to go to market. We have 3 different or maybe 4 different payment options that Kevin's going to delve into a little bit later, but primarily we want to get homes fixed up so they get the maximum value with no money out of pocket until closing for the homeowner. We offer service from the Canadian border to Olympia. We have a large suite of contractors. Kevin's going to talk about them a little bit as well. What do we offer? What do we do? What don't we do? Well, it's quicker to list what we don't do. We don't do foundations. We don't do appliance repair. We don't do wells. We don't do generator repair. That was something came up a couple of days ago. But really everything else is on the table that we can get the homes ready for market. We have done homes at $5,000 and we've done them at $65,000. And our experience is that the homeowners are seeing incredible value with spending that money. Coming soon, well, basically available right now, we have home inspections and sewer scopes. We're working out a way to take that payment at closing as well. And then photography is coming. We're going to offer photography and agents can get the photography taken and pay for it at closing along with the other payments. So I think that's about it for what ZingFix is, why we started. We're ready, willing, and able. Send us your business. And from here, Kevin will take over and talk about a few other things.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I feel like this is kind of an intervention here. I'm not a Keller Williams agent.
Love it, Kevin.
Yes, Kevin, yes.
We are not, yeah. But Nick brought me on about 7 months ago. We worked together, 20 years ago in the telecom world. I stayed with it. Nick went off and did other more exciting things. But last year he brought me on board to help out with the operations, and it's been a blast. I can honestly tell you that this is an easy sell. When Mick told me about this, I thought this is such a slam dunk for real estate agents and especially for homeowners, especially today,
Mhm,
where we have go out there and try to find contractors,
mhm.
try to find reputable, licensed and bonded contractors for your clients. It's difficult. And that's really what I think, as Mick alluded to, there are two things that we really offer your clients, is that we have licensed and bonded contractors, and there can be no out-of-pocket costs for the homeowners. Those are two huge things. If you want to come in and get something done to your house, and in a matter of a couple of weeks, we can get it done. Contractors like to work with us. Why do you think they like to work with us? Because we pay them. They don't have to chase down a homeowner for payment. Typically, they get paid prior to the work starting, and at the time of completion, then everything is taken care of. So they love working with us because they get paid, and we keep them busy. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and our contractors have been busy just about every week for those 2 years.
Love it.
And again, as Mick said, we do a variety of things. We'll assist with tasks as small as staging. Since I started, our projects have increased in scope, and I think Mick can support this. But I think when they first started out, they were doing like carpeting, paint. Now we've increased in scope to more kitchen upgrades, bath upgrades, and it's as you know, it's amazing what a little bit of I don't even call this, and I've heard people say this, where we're putting lipstick on a pig. We're not. So I don't like using that term, because we're not. We're actually providing a ton of benefit for the homeowners and their house. We even get homeowners when the house is fixed up. They're like, oh, geez, should we even move out? But they do. So the process is really easy. I put on your chat here our website. It's just zingfix.com. Oh, there it is.
And there's also some more fun stuff for you. Yeah. So here's your contact information.
Yep. And I actually you took over the screen. I had some notes here. How do I get out of the big
Well,
screen?
I can just stop my share and you can get back to your notes. How's that?
Oh, that's okay. But yeah, you can reach out to our website or give us a call. We can provide the number during this conference call as well.
That'd be great.
We do virtual bids, but I found that most of the time we need to get a ZingFix employee and a contractor out to really hone in on exactly what the homeowner needs or may not need. I think the first time I went out with Mick, we looked at a house in Redmond last fall, and the homeowner had a list of things that she wanted done to the house. And Mick walked in and said, yeah, do this, this, and this, and don't do the other 5. So we're not out there trying to take advantage of every opportunity. If there's things that we think the homeowner doesn't need to do, working with the agent, we probably will try to save the homeowner a little bit of money and not do it. We have 3 financing options. Homeowner can pay half up front and half at close at the time that the project is completed. We also work with a conventional bank that offers no out-of-pocket costs, and the other is an independent financing firm that we use, where there is a 2% finance charge assessed each month. So if the homeowner takes out $30,000 every month, they would be charged until the home is sold 2%, so $600 a month. But ZingFix covers the first 2 months of that.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing, Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And as you know, with this hot market, homes don't sit on the market for longer than 2 months.
Right.
They typically loan up to 1/3 the equity in their home.
Wow. That's fantastic.
So if the homeowner has $100,000 in equity in the house, do the math, they'll loan up to 33%, $33,000.
Fantastic.
And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'd like to open it up to questions.
There is one thing I want to add that's kind of important. I know that we didn't touch on it. ZingFix does not lien properties or dictate the price or price drops of properties. Our paperwork, because for legal reasons, has to have that we can lien the property in there, but we don't lien the property.
Okay. So guys, I'll point you out to, so Crystal just had a great suggestion. So Crystal is our Market Center technology trainer for both our Federal Way, Burien, Kent, and Enumclaw locations. And she says, I'm working on some smart plan emails for sellers and would love to include an email about your services as part of my email drip. I'll send you an email, but I would like to collaborate with you on some copy for that. How cool is that? Let's get your name out there. Love it.
Love it.
Hey, guys in the chat, tell us, how many of you guys like this? Is this like just the best idea for your sellers? I am so excited about this. You know, we've heard of other companies doing that, right? But for us, having you guys partnering with us and helping, that is great. A lot of fee. Hello. May you please repeat the third financing option? I was writing down the second and missed the third.
Okay, the first one was the homeowner can pay 50% upfront and 50% at the time that the project ends. The second option is through a conventional bank, no out-of-pocket costs. The third option is another financing firm that we use, not a bank, where there is a 2% finance charge that's assessed each month, but we cover the first 2 months. So if it's a $20,000 loan, and I can recap this, Mick and I can recap this in an email too.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great help for us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And you know, something I would also want to say that we view it as our job to help the agent with the client, keep that listing, get the highest dollar for that listing. You know, we're a team. We're teaming with the agent to get that property sold. So it's important. We would never try and take a listing, for example, or any of that stuff. We'll sign a waiver and non-competes or whatever is needed. But yeah, we see it as our job to get that house ready and help the agent get that sold.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've got some wonderful, comments and then questions here. So Trish says, I have an agent friend who uses them and loves the ease, so she doesn't have to be organizing everything. So thank you on that, guys. Kathy says, I'm working with a client who will list by May 1st and will be contacting you shortly. So love that.
Yeah.
Tatiana says, is this only offered to KW agents?
No, any agent anywhere can do it, unless, of course, KW comes to us and says, hey, let's work together exclusively.
There you go. Okay, Aaron says, what are your timelines for work completed typically?
So obviously that's kind of a tricky one, because if we're doing a siding and roof and a lot of things, it takes a bit longer. But most properties are landscaping, paint, carpet, laminate plank flooring. We're probably looking at we like to get in and out in 10 days or less. For even the bigger ones, put cabinets in, countertops, plumbing, all that. We do all of that. I think the biggest, maybe the biggest job we've done so far was out in Redmond, or maybe it's second or third biggest, and we had that done in 10 days. And that was a full kitchen, all new doors, paint, the carpet, the works.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, let's see. It would be helpful to know if client does X project, spends X money, then how much more does the value listing price increase? Do you guys give any kind of advice on that?
That's a great question. And I get, as we all get flyers from real estate agents. I live in Sammamish. That was one of the other questions. I live in Sammamish, so I'm local. Mick lives in Burien. And I get flyers every week from real estate agents where they talk about the listing price of a home and around here they're getting $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more. That's
right.
Pretty common now, and even more than that, right?
Yeah.
But what I've seen, we just did this split level home in Redmond. It was put on the market for $875,000, built in 1985. It sold, and we spent about $30,000 on it. Some paint, kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel, some touch-ups in a few other places. It got 32% more than asking price, almost $300,000 more. Yeah, this couple, actually, we're putting together a video. I videotaped the couple, the before, during, and after of this project, and we're going to get it on our website once we get the editing done. But they're a retired couple. They're heading down to Boise to be with their kids. I almost cried watching them during this video because they were just beside themselves and how smoothly it went with us. I mean, I should just send that video out. It sells itself.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to have a lot more questions coming in for you guys. Goldie, I'm going to ask you to do this. If you've got more questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. Goldie will capture those questions. We'll get them out to you guys, and maybe we can put kind of an FAQ together that we send out to everybody. Could that work?
Yes, we'll do that. No problem.
Outstanding. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being here. I actually have a project that I'm going to call you on, so very exciting.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys later. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. So, Mr. John Hanson, how are you, my friend? Come on in here.
Hey,
Hey, buddy.
how are you?
Good. Long time no talk. It's good to see you. Good. So we have got some good stuff to talk about. Let me share the screen. It's all about the Form 21 paragraph J.
Yeah, before we jump to that, I just want to quickly say that, there's been a lot of changes, right? That started last Wednesday officially. And so over the weekend, a lot of people, unfortunately, were discovering for the first time that the form was different than before, right? And that was a shame because we tried to put out lots and lots of notices and meetings and things like that. But I can't do it all at once in these meetings. So I'm just trying to do one thing at a time each meeting. And so the one I wanted to do today was, because I'm looking at things that can be a real trap, right, for agents. And this one can be a real trap for a listing agent. So I want to make sure you're aware of this, that FIRPTA, the Foreign Investment and Real Property Tax Act, which gave the IRS the legal right, the constitutional right to go ahead and put a lien on that buyer's property if the seller is a foreigner and doesn't pay their tax that's due.
Okay.
Now that tax we're talking about is not like sales tax on a loaf of bread at the store. We're talking about, and we're not talking about a capital gains tax either, which is just a portion of their gain. We're talking about a sales tax, the purchase price, a 10% plus of the purchase price.
Yeah.
It could go as a lien against your buyer's new home if the seller did not make their declaration. So out of concern for the seriousness of it and some situations that occurred, this change was made to our forms, and that's paragraph J, which is we call it FIRPTA, the Foreign Investment and Real Property Tax Act, that now incentivizes the seller to do something about it. Because before they were like, well, what do I care? Why do I want to make that declaration? What do I care? They had nothing to lose. Now they have something to lose if they don't make that declaration. And what they have to lose is that there's a process here whereby the buyer can give a notice. So the seller has 10 days in order to get that FIRPTA declaration, which can be the 22E or something like it, but 22E is the easiest, to get that declaration over to the escrow. And if it gets over to the escrow within those 10 days, then we're good. But if they don't get it over to escrow in those 10 days, then the process is that the buyer has an opportunity then to give them a 3-day notice to get that FIRPTA into escrow, or buyer can terminate and walk from the deal. So I see so many listing agents all hopped up about making sure that the buyer can't escape by doing this. This is an easy escape for a buyer if the seller doesn't get that declaration turned in.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure you're aware of that, because for both sides, for the seller to make sure that they know that this could happen. So they need to get that FERPTA in. Listing
Mhm.
agents, this should just be a part of your early processes and going under contract. That the Form 90 is a new Form 90 FERPTA that where the notices can be sent, where the the buyer can give that notice to the seller, 3-day notice to deliver it to escrow, or buyer can terminate the transaction and get the earnest money back and go.
Mhm.
So we want to make our buyer aware of that. We want to make sure our sellers are taking care of that. But again, it's an easy trap to fall into. It seems like a simple little thing. A lot of people have ignored FERPTA for a long time.
Mhm.
And I feel like I've just been a lone person in the wilderness yelling out about this. And
Yep.
I'm glad to see that finally the forms are on board to make sure that the seriousness of this is addressed.
Sounds good. Robin has a question for you, John. She says, do you have a company that our sellers can contact if there's a question about FERPTA, say people with green cards?
I would say go through escrow.
Okay, great. John, as always, you're amazing. I know your job has got to be so big right now from all of these changes. I would imagine your phone is ringing off the hook pretty much all the time right now.
Yeah, and I want to apologize to anyone who's been trying to reach me, because this last weekend was our first weekend with the new forms. And I mean, oh my gosh, I had so many calls, texts, and emails, and I was trying to get to them as quickly as I could, but it just, and Monday was an unbelievable day. And so I appreciate your patience very much.
Outstanding. Well, all of us are very grateful for you, John, every single day. We are so lucky to have you. So thank you for all your help. We appreciate you, my friend. All right, so let's go into, so Pam has provided us with a video, and this is about Kobe Bryant, and I just think it's extraordinary. So let's just take a look at this video.
Follow your passion first.
Whoops, sorry, my bad.
When I retired from the game, I sat there asking kind of all the wrong questions. What's the biggest industry I can get into? And it's all the wrong stuff. And you got to sit there and ask yourself, okay, what am I truly passionate about? What do I enjoy doing? And when you feel that way, honestly, you feel like you have never worked a day in your life. It's the most fun thing in the world. You get up in the morning excited about what you're doing. And you got to be really...
Hang on 2 seconds, guys. I got to turn it up, but I got to pause it to do that. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Here we go.
honest with yourself about it. You wake up in the morning and you're dreading going to work, dude. Do something else. Do something else. And those are hard decisions to make. But when you make those decisions, it's a very liberating experience. And you find out that the rewards will come.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. As hard as you believe you can work harder than that. And that's what I tried to do when I first came in the league. But basketball is such a direct competition sport that me coming in at 17, I hated when my teammates would say, I get hit with an elbow, right? Shaq would hit me with an elbow in practice. And Nick Van Exel would come up and say, "Are you okay?" I'm like, what? Are you okay? What the hell's wrong with you? So I always had that extra chip on my shoulder. So every day in practice for me was really trying to annihilate everybody that I was playing against. Because I wanted to prove you don't need to babysit me. I'm fine, And so it's always that competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity. Because I asked a lot of questions. When playing with Byron Scott, I asked him a lot of questions. Eddie Jones, who was great at chasing guards off the screens, and I didn't understand how to do that. I would sit with him before practice, after practice. Magic, all the Laker greats, I would always sit down and just ask them questions about certain games that I studied growing up. What actually happened there? What did you feel there and why?
We were playing against the Lakers, Tom, and we were out here in LA. So the game was at 7. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come to the Staples Center because we're playing. This is when the Lakers had Kobe and Shaq. Okay, this is like the championship Lakers. So you know, I'm gonna get there at 3 o'clock. And I want to make sure I make 400 made shots before I go back into the room, and then I sit in the sauna and I get ready for the game. So, you know, get in the car, get to the gym, get there, and as I'm walking onto the court, who do I see? I see Kobe Bryant, already working out. So once I set my foot across that line, I started working out. And so I worked out for a good hour and a half. And when I came off, after I was done, I sat down, and of course I still heard the ball bouncing. I looked down, I'm like, this guy's still working out. He was working out for like, it looks like he was in a dead sweat when I got here. Right. And he's still going. And it's not like his moves are nonchalant or lazy. He's doing like game moves, you know? I sit there and I unlace my shoes. I'm like, I want to see how long this goes. So I sit out there and watch 25 minutes. And he got done. I said, okay, I think I've seen enough. Go play, you know, come back, get in the sauna, get ready for the game. That game, he drops 40 on us, okay? And after the game is over, I'm like, I have to ask this guy. Like, I have to understand, like, why he works like that. Right. So after the game is over, I'm like, hey, Kobe, like, why were you in the gym for so long? He's like, because I saw you come in. And I wanted you to know that it doesn't matter how hard you work, that I'm willing to work harder than you.
If your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions. Right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4, you go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? Relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in. If I start earlier, I can train more hours. And I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is. Right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, let's do that.
How do you develop that, or where do you learn that from?
Well, I think it's just a matter of what's important to you. And what's important to you for whatever reason. You know, I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. So the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be.
This has been absolutely beautiful, you guys. I can't believe it's come to an end. You guys will always be in my heart. And what can I say? Mamba out.
thank you. So I think there's so many similarities in what he was talking about in what he does, and then what we do, right? Because here's what I know right now. It takes grit right now to do what we do, right? With all the things that have happened this year with COVID and with social unrest and the election and so many things. And it takes grit working through those buyers, right? Especially if you have a lot of buyers, it takes grit. And here's the thing. Here's what I know. When you lean in, when you learn from the best, and that's why all of you guys are here today, you're learning from the best on how to really push through. When you put all of it, all of yourself into it, you are going to have those rewards. Absolutely. Now, I am so excited that we have 3 extraordinary listing agents on with us. So do me a favor. Hey, Robin, why don't you come on in here? Ramona, come on in. And Dan, come on in as well. How are you guys doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I think you've stopped my video.
Did I?
Oh, there I am. There I am.
You're there. You all look fabulous. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being here. I know you guys are so busy. It's just been this incredible last few months, and you guys are all top listing agents. So we wanted to share some things with people, and I thought what we could do is start with the ugly and make it beautiful. So I'm hoping that you guys maybe could share some stories of, and we won't use names obviously, but some of the worst experiences you've had with buyer's agents. What do you think?
I got one.
Okay.
I got one. This technology thing kind of drives everybody crazy, but from the Ring doorbells to cameras within people's houses, they have microphones. And we had a listing not too long ago. It was up in a mountain, and the lady had already vacated the house, and we started working with an agent that brought us a wonderful, wonderful offer. And he was with Windermere by the name of Todd Huizinga.
Oh, Todd.
So I'm going to name names because it was just a joy to work with. But our seller was, I guess she's kind of she's one of those. She would listen to everything that was being said, and she'd replay the cameras for us. She'd send us anything. And it got down to the point one day she called me up and sent me this video, and she says, that was not very professional what was going on in my house. Everybody was wearing jeans. What was going on? And you were looking, and I go, ma'am, we were doing our inspection and I was there to help them. And she was just nasty. But it got to the point that if we didn't have a professional agent on the other side, that of course we would talk, and Todd was awesome. And that's what became just a nightmare of a listing because of our seller became just a joy. And really, I considered Todd a real friend at the end of it because we worked together to get her done. And that was what turned to be a terrible experience into a wonderful experience. And now I'm proud to say that he's a KW agent.
Yeah. Isn't that fantastic? We're so glad he's with us. Yeah. How about Robin or Ramona? How about an agent on the other side that we can learn not to do?
Well, we had a buyer's broker, and let's just call her Mama Bear because she was Mama Bear, and her kids made a contingent offer on a property, and seller came this contingent offer, and she didn't get the offer back to us in time, and so the offer expired. And next morning we got a cash offer. Of course, seller signed it, right? Well, this agent was pretty darn furious, and she went directly to seller and walked on her property and said, "We are going to sue you if you don't take our kid's offer."
Ouch.
So ironically, seller knew the kids. And so Mama Bear, we kind of got Mama Bear not to get herself in too much more trouble, because that's just not real called for. And seller agreed to put her into backup position. So praise God that the forms have now been changed, and they were changed because of this particular buyer's broker.
Wow.
In the old forms, you identify who the first buyer is or was. And in this case, she contacted him directly and
Mhm.
offered him $10,000 to back out.
Ooh.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
And anyway, it spurred the buyer on even more, and he paid cash, and he was thrilled, and he got the house. So
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. How about you, Ramona?
Well, I also have a buyer's agent, multiple offers, I'd say 10 or 12. And I always try and feel out the agent as much as I do the buyer. It has a lot to do with the competency of the agent, right? Because the buyer isn't always, they may write an okay offer, but the agent, if they're not competent, they can make the entire transaction difficult, or even one that ends up failing. And so this agent, the minute we were under contract, and they wanted closing costs, and the seller didn't want to pay closing costs, so they paid their own closing costs. We're under contract, and the next day they try and renegotiate the contract. And we were under contract. So they weren't very happy, and the sob stories in every conversation with the agent was a 20-minute conversation where he's trying to twist things. And, the poor buyers have to, come up with this money now. And well, they didn't have to, agree to remove their closing costs. And, long story short, this continued throughout the entire transaction. They threatened to walk when the seller didn't do a 16-item inspection response. And we had 2 people in backup position. So it's just, if you're that agent, if you're the buyer's agent, just know the contract, know what your buyer's rights are, negotiate fairly. There were a lot of emotional games, I feel. And, as agents, we have listing agents, buyer's agents. We have so many people that we're serving, so much on our plate. The game playing, it's just not a good strategy.
Yep.
And so, yeah, my advice to anyone, especially if you work mostly with buyers, be straightforward, be ethical, be honest. That's who I want to work with.
Absolutely. Okay, so do you guys have like your favorite buyer's agent on the other side transaction? Like, do you have a favorite? They did it so well that you were just so impressed.
So many.
I don't know, the ones that close, because we get it seems like, I mean, we're dealing with one right now where we have an incompetent lender, and it went down to a lender that was on the East Coast, and it got down to the point the lender said, I can't do this, and it was stacked on a couple other transactions that we had, and we're like panicking. It was a Friday afternoon, and things are not fun when things go sideways on a Friday afternoon. So I went to the agent on the other side and I said, would you mind if we went ahead and switched this over to our lender, the lender that was actually closing one of the transactions, because they have a vested interest. If you don't close, this guy on the other end is not going to close. And he says, absolutely. So we went ahead and switched it over to the other lender. They went through, and I go, these guys are golden. And so we did them a favor, and they've been so cooperative, and they're so thankful because we are going to close this for their buyer. It's going to help our seller, but everybody, it's a win-win at that point. And I know I've got a friend for life on the other side. I really do.
Oh, fantastic. Trina's got a question here. So it's interesting. We've been having this conversation in one of our accountability groups, and it's about presenting offers in person. Now, I remember my very first transaction was with Carla Clark, and she made me present in person. And I always did after she did too. I always have done in person ever since that. What do you guys think about in-person presentations? Trina's saying she's actually been hung up on the phone when asking to do it. What do you think?
I would never hang up on an agent who does that. But what I will say, so when I started in the business almost 24 years ago, every presentation was in person, right? And the clients would be out in the car, and you'd go back and forth, car to house, and negotiate the deal and get everything hand signed. And sometimes it was handwritten. I think all of them were handwritten back then. Fast forward to now, I haven't done an in-person or had an in-person presentation on one of my listings. I don't know in how many years. And I will say that in a multiple offer situation, if I don't offer every agent the opportunity to present in person, I'm not going to allow one agent. And in fairness, because it's so competitive out there and buyer's agents are so beat down, I make sure that I am the same with every agent. I'm transparent about what we have without giving away anything that's confidential on the seller side, but I'll let people know the range. I'll answer questions and I'll offer up information even if they don't ask, to let them know what we have, what it needs to look like to even be competitive in the offer situation. So to answer the question on the in-person, I'm not going to allow it unless I allow it for everyone, which isn't feasible or even realistic to expect, right? Especially during a pandemic, it may not even be something they're comfortable with. So that would be a no.
Could that be done though, virtually like this? Robin,
Possibly.
you're shaking your head. So what do you think, Robin?
I don't want to in any way contradict in any way, because first of all, Ramona, your hair is just always beautiful. I think it was pretty in the paper.
Well, that's what matters, right?
It is what matters. It does. And Cole and Dan, that would be weird. So anyway, so
His beard looks good. Yeah.
so here, yeah, there you go. If your buyer, I'm going to encourage an agent, if an agent fights for a buyer, that gets so much to me, I had an agent that she read in the rules about this little clause that would have just not made her VA buyer eligible. And it's really not even legal now because it discriminated in the covenants. Anybody that does something like that, I mean, I'm just going to pat their back and give them a hug and say, you fight for that buyer. Anybody does that's going to get a lot of respect in my book. So if they want to present their offers and if it's what's best for the buyer, I don't let the seller decide. I don't decide anything for anybody. I'm going to have the conversation with the seller. I'm going to tell them, this is what the buyer's broker would like to do. Would you be willing to have a Zoom with them and and let them present their buyer's offer, because that buyer has a lot on the line and every buyer's life is so complicated and it's all important. And this is your biggest financial decision. And do you want to do financial surgery on your biggest investment?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this though, Robin. Do you worry about the seller making a decision based on something that like the buyers themselves, and the idea that there may be some discrimination then either against that particular buyer or other possible buyers in the mix?
Well, we have the conversation. You can't discriminate, whether buyer's handicapped or whether buyer, has a different color of skin or whether they have a cool accent. I mean, I don't have a cool accent and I wish you could discriminate against me because I have a cool accent. So that'd be fun. So, the thing is you have people, it has to be their decision, and we can't protect everybody from everything. It's not my money. Not my money, not my decision. I let it be their decision. So we have the conversation, let them make the decision. So everybody does things different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
I'm kind of like with Ramona a little bit. I want to make it a level playing field for everybody. Your hair is beautiful, by the way. Your hair is always beautiful. It surprised me when I saw you this morning. Your hair looks incredible. I'm supposed to say that to Cheryl every morning too. So, but anyway, I want to make it a level playing field. And if I'm going to offer that to agent A, I'm going to have to offer it to agent B. And I go out of my way to help every agent that I possibly can. I look at it as everybody's equal when they come and present me an offer until they prove otherwise. And I really want to be able to go around to the other side of the table, put my arm around that person and say, thank you so much for taking the time to show the house, to have your buyer go through it. I'm so glad that they fell in love with it to the point where they made an offer. And I mean that sincerely. I am very, very empathetic to buyer's agents because they are busting their tail to find a freaking house in this marketplace, and they've made probably 6 or 7 offers before they've come to this one.
Yeah.
And I got to remember that it is not easy to be on the other side. And I guarantee if we don't put our arm around them and help them in any way to strengthen their offer, which is perfectly legal to do so, we're going to be on tables are going to turn and the tide's going to turn. And all of a sudden there's going to be a ton of listings out there. And I'm going to be raising my hand going, please show my listing so we can sell it for, and it's going to happen. So
don't burn your bridges, people.
That's right. Everybody, they're going to be our friends. And so we want to make sure that we treat everybody as fairly as possible, because we're going to call in favors. We really are.
So to me, letting everybody equally present offers if they wish is equal. There's nothing unequal about that. If they don't, if they wish to do it. Huh? Well, yeah, but
it's a lot of time. And it for me, it would confuse the seller more than anything.
It could.
I think
having the conversation before is why this is the important part of it.
So let's talk about some best practices then, guys. Obviously we have showing communication, right? We have got people making an offer, we've got during the transaction, and we've got closing, right? Maybe we could share some best practices going through that life cycle a bit of what really wins with you from a buyer's agent standpoint, or what would help the buyer win the transaction? Because would you all agree that it's not just always about price? There's other parts of it, right? Okay.
I agree with Ramona. I think a good agent on the other end is everything, 100%, because we've even, with sellers' permission, given agents a benefit because they are such a good agent and because they do get them closed. Having a good reputation is everything in this industry.
Yep, it is. What do you guys think? Before, let's maybe go into the showing before the transaction, maybe before they even make an offer. What shows up for you as a really phenomenal buyer's agent, even before you get the offer?
Picking up the phone, calling me.
Yeah.
And I know that when and you guys are probably running into the same thing with, you put a great listing on the market and it's like your phone just starts burning and you get tired of picking it up. But we usually put our homes on the market on a Thursday afternoon. And I just go, well, that's my weekend. I'm going to be talking to a lot of people. And I want to be very accessible to them and answer any question I possibly can, because it's going to save them some time and it's going to save me some time in the long run, just to be accessible and to communicate. And so to help the other agents out there, don't just send me an offer. I hate that when somebody sends me an offer, has never talked to me, never even said, and text messages don't work with me. I really like to hear from you voice to voice, and I will pick it up and I'll talk to you.
Okay, great.
I agree. The agent that actually picks up the phone and not only asks, how many offers, what at what range, but what's important to the seller, like somebody who really asks the questions where you can tell it's a relationship that you're in. When you move forward with an offer, you're in a relationship with that agent for the next 30 days or so. And just showing the other person, I'm going to be a good partner in this relationship. That's what I like to see now. What does that have to do with whether or not their buyer is going to win in the situation? I mean, I will, share my thoughts with the seller. Ultimately, it's the seller's decision. And an agent that starts a relationship with me and stays in relationship, I'm like you guys, Dan. So we list on a Thursday. My job that whole weekend is to be available. I'm at home in my sweats, answering the phone, on the email. I don't really like texts either. Like if you're going to take the time to text me and ask me one question and then I answer and then another question, pick up the phone, because I'm going to just stop responding, right?
Sure.
And I will say, call me Sunday night to see where we are, or call me on the review date, or I promise I'll call you if seller looks like they might accept something sooner. And somebody who does what they say they're going to do. I like that. I like it. when the lender reaches out, because my
Mhm.
intention is to call every lender, and sometimes you don't get around to the ones that the seller's not really interested in anyway. But if the lender proactively reaches out, it feels like there's a team. There's a team of people working to keep this moving forward, a team of people invested in the closing.
Mhm.
That's what I'm looking for.
Love that.
Mhm.
Love that. Okay, so now you're about to get in an offer. What are you looking at in the offer itself? What are best practices around the offer?
Usually by Sunday night or at the latest Monday these days,
Mhm.
I've got my top 3. And you're compiling all these offers, and I don't know how we've got Larissa on our team. She'll spreadsheet it because, and I just kind of go, spreadsheet, that's just too much work. Anyway, I take the top 3,
Mhm.
and my top 3, the one that I recommend to my seller usually doesn't have the highest price. What's important to me is down payment and what type of possession date do they have. Those are the 2 things I look at, because it's now at the point that everybody wants a couple of days in their house after they receive their money after closing. But most importantly is, what is their financing?
Mhm.
And if they're like a 20-25% down payment or more, those guys are winners. I mean, I want to look at them really hard, and we may be off by $10,000, $5,000 depending on your price range.
Mhm.
But that means more to me because they have a better chance of taking us to the finish line to closing.
Mhm. Okay, great.
So we do the same. Katya actually does a spreadsheet. So as offers come in, I send them to the seller. She puts them on a spreadsheet for me. I'll look at them. I will, in my mind, know what my top 2 or 3 are. I'll have a conversation with the seller about all of them, answer any questions.
Mhm.
We'll send out a highest and best to everyone. And in that email, a request for highest and best offer. In
Mhm.
that email, I'll let them know this is the range. And I'll say we've got waived inspections, we've got 22 ADs in this range. And I will always let agents know too, if you're sending an offer that is higher than what comps will support, your 22 AD needs to make up that difference.
Mhm.
Now, we know that sometimes an appraiser will add a percentage for the upward trend. Other times they won't. So there's some variables in there, but I make it really clear. And a lot of agents aren't as experienced as we are here, but I like to share with them the things that I look for and that are going to be important. And I share it to all of them. So I'll do the email. They're all BCC'd, so nobody sees each other. But I share all of that information with them. Now, the good stuff is on the phone with me. If they haven't reached out, they're not getting the good stuff. But I'll call for highest and best. And from there, it's still usually, to one of the top people, hey, will your buyer do this? Yes, no. And then you talk to the seller about it, and then you decide.
Absolutely. By the way, Crystal made a really good point, is in command. I don't know if you guys know this. You know this, don't you, Robin?
Well,
Inside
I
command,
do.
you can do the-
I
you
put
can
them in command, offers.
offer comparison in command. Yeah. So that's, I don't know if
Thank
you guys
you.
know that, but it's really cool. It's been there for a while. So, and you can email it to the client from there. It's a very cool feature for sure.
So if you want to know what I do.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes.
So, but nonetheless, as offers come in, they're sent to the seller because we are supposed to, do the same thing. And then we'll put them in command. So that way, and then you have your pros and cons, and you just, you can list everything. It all comes up very easily, very organized, very clear. And so that way, when we talk about each offer, seller says, oh yes, that offer that I got this day. Oh yes, in this time. And oh, this is that buyer's offer that has that letter. And we go over all of it. So that way seller knows, really has a good familiarity. And then we talk about the terms and how, what are we gonna, I'm certain I'm worried about that financing. I'm wanting security. So all of us are gonna agree that, higher down payment, the better, though never our decision. I had seller take sweet little 65-year-old lady with down payment assistance because he did not want the 25% buyer who was going to use his house as a rental.
Gotcha.
Wanted. So we took the sweet lady who was going to live in that house and love that house and gave her 8,000 in closing costs. So you're right. It's not always the money. It's the whole story.
Well, yeah, I love what you're saying there. So let's say I'm a buyer's agent. One of the things I think that's always been successful is communication that doesn't change. So for example, when I'm calling you, I'm asking what's important to the seller. Here's what my buyer's like. Here's where we're at. Okay, so Dan, if we can agree that my buyer can do X, Y, Z, and your seller can do this, I'm going to write that offer up. Do you think that could be acceptable for your seller? That may or may not be. It could be one of many, right? What I'm not going to do, and this is what I've seen other agents do before, you go back to your buyer and they say, I want to change something. So you write in something different than what we just agreed on the phone, and I send that over to you. You're having a conversation with your seller that you've got this great offer coming in. You've had a great relationship with the buyer's agent on the other side, and then the buyer's agent changing everything up without calling you back. So if we have really great communication, I'm then making sure that what I send you is what I promised. I follow up to make sure you got it and make sure it was everything that we were clear on. Does that set me up for my buyers? Is that a better way to approach?
That person will be my friend for life. I mean, that's called integrity. I love to work with people like that. They call me up and they say, here's what we're looking to do. We want to do this, and that. And all of a sudden I receive the offer later, an hour or so later. And indeed, I mean, they're like the top three. And I don't ever tell the person that, hey, you're number one. I say, you're right there at the top. I think you're going to turn out pretty well, but let me talk with my caveat always is, I got to go in the other room and talk to my seller. It's like the used car dealer, I think we can make that offer work, but I got to go talk to management. Well, there's no other management. I think this on my recommendation to the sellers, these guys are really good. What do you think? Because I'm not going to sell absolutely yes until the seller goes, hey, I really like that offer. Let's do that one.
Okay. So I'm hearing monster communication is really effective for you guys. Great down payment. Lots of teamwork from the lender, all of their folks that are going to be part of it, making sure that they're communicating that way. What other things really stick out for you as far as this is going to make this a great buyer agent experience?
Well, I think that we're not seeing a lot of things out in the market where buyers, brokers aren't taking the advantage of the opportunity. If your buyers have some extra money, what seller not want to pay? They don't want to pay fees, right? Well, pay your buyer's broker fee. Why wouldn't your buyer pay that fee and then use their 22 AD in a different way? Because guess what? That seller says, wow, that agent, not any of the other agents, but that agent took away my fee. They love that.
I love that.
That's one good one. Also having, just automatically, if you're going to offer $20,000 over on a 22 AD, well, that's your earnest money. And that's also going to be, you're going to come in 20,000 higher. If you're going to just throw it away, okay, you're want to throw everything out there, put your best foot forward first and hold firm, because guess what? That speaks volumes. And if you're going to do it, then make sure your buyers through underwriting, this desktop underwriting, I get it, all grand, all happy, kumbaya. But hey, get your buyer through underwriting. Our lenders are super, super busy doing refis, but that's starting to slow down now, friends. So get these buyers through underwriting. If they want to get their offers, even a 5% buyer, if they're all the way through underwriting, all they need to do is pass clear title and they got the loan. And don't take the 30-day financing contingency, then they write 30 days in there. It's like, no. You are done, people. We have an you get the appraisal, make sure your value's there, and we're done. So that's, you want security, you get that financing secured. And then make sure the house is in great condition. Do what you can. Get your seller to do your stuff up front. We try to do that all the time. We don't need that holding you down.
So if I get my buyer completely through underwriting. Then the lender calls you and says that this is an amazing buyer that's completely through underwriting.
Basically cash.
Yeah.
You know,
And
we've got
then
a loan and we're carrying it to your house and we're giving it to you and we're putting it in your bank.
exactly. Wow, nice things. Okay, so final words on best practices. We're right against the time here, guys, but final word on what is, if you could give one great piece of advice to any of the people who are in the battle for their buyer, what do you think that advice would be?
Don't compete with a fellow KW agent. If I go do a listing presentation and I know there's a Robin Adelsman on the other side, I will tell that seller right now, you have already chosen a great agent. She's fantastic.
He did. He's so nice. I love him.
You're awesome.
I mean, it's our culture. I won't compete with another KW agent.
Yeah.
I just won't do it.
That's so nice. I love it.
I will say to the buyer's agents, I'm sorry, Robin, did you want to go?
No, go ahead.
To the buyer's agents, make sure your buyer's well prepared. I'd say the last 4 or 5 listings we've had, most of the buyers have waived every contingency and come in with a 2280. Every contingency but the 22A. So explain all of those things to your buyer, because I still see buyers really disgruntled because sellers not willing to pay closing costs. Well, that eats into their net. Like, why would they when they don't have to? So make sure your buyer's prepared. If they're not, maybe they should step back, save a little money, get gift funds. There are all kinds of things that we're doing creatively. But do your due diligence with the buyer as well. Because if they're disappointed, they will eventually get worn out. It's exhausting, doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
You could prevent that exhaustion by really letting them know, telling them the truth about our market right now.
Or getting them loan approved, and then the loan is approved and you can go do it. See, that's the thing. If buyer,
Yes.
here's your low down buyer that's going house to house to house to house,
Right.
that just doesn't have a chance competing with other buyers that, guess what? They're still just at the pre-approval stage. They're not all
Yes.
the way through.
I
Get that-
agree.
For those type of people, get those loans, get that loan completed as much as you can, and take that and then do the Zoom with their seller. Haha, no, just kidding. But really, no, I'm just teasing. But it is, when you get 17 offers, it is very hard to do a Zoom with a seller, and that's very realistic. And a lot of agents don't like the love letters. I think, it offers an offer, and if it's really just always just up to the seller, and have them make those decisions. So it's great business, great new times, fun times, changing things with the new forms.
You guys are so amazing. Great advice for everyone. It's a challenge out there. It is. But if we can over communicate, if we can prepare your buyer in advance, that's the first step I'm hearing you guys say. Make sure you got the real deal to the buyer. They understand what's going. Set them up for as much success as possible with money down, pre-approvals. They are ready to go. Communicating with the listing agents like crazy, over communicating, sending in a solid, well-written offer. Perhaps even in that email, bullet pointing out the high points of that offer, so the agent doesn't have to go scouring through the contract. It's there right at glance. And then just keep communicating all the way through the transaction. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being with us today. I so appreciate each of you. You are amazing, and I always love working with you guys.
My pleasure, Cole. Thank you. Love you all.
Betcha. You betcha. Okay, so we got a couple things just to let you know that we've got coming up right now. Of course, I am going to be teaching the 411 and the 135 this Friday. Very excited about that, from 1 to 3. Boy, I tell you what, it's the #1 tool that you can have to really be able to get ahead of your business. And then here you've got a great one coming up. Did I miss it? I did. No, I didn't. Okay. That's where we're at right now. Okay, guys. So everybody have a phenomenal rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you later. Bye.